Imagine you move from a place where you lived all your life. Imagine you move and you leave all your children and wife. Starting all over again, but no one you know is around. Well, they didn't have to imagine. They built it up from the ground. How does it sound? Not easy because it isn't. Could have praised them, but it didn't. But the Ray Bond, that's a winner. And they ran straight to the finish. You get to know them up close and personal. Wait, just give me a minute. Welcome to the front row. Can I get a drum roll? Intentional. We may be immigrants, but we are still intentional. We are dependable. It's just that set the bar, but still the best of all. We are intentional.
Welcome to the Intentional Immigrants podcast. Here we look at immigrants and their journeys to settle in a new, unfamiliar place. They, as pioneers, have embarked on uncharted territories so that you will be able to share in their trials, challenges, joys, and triumphs. We will learn from them so that you will not have to make the same mistakes. If you're a new immigrant, take hope. There is light at the end of your tunnel. You are not alone. Others have gone before you, and they have left a light for you to see. Today's guest is Willie Englebretch. He is an experienced entrepreneur who is currently operating his second business. Willie has experienced his fair share of trials and challenges, including the death of his firstborn son and his first wife. Let's listen as Willie shares his experience. Willie is originally from the country of South Africa. Its capital is Pretoria. It has 11 official languages, including Afrikaans and English. Its population is approximately 42 million people. Its flag colors are two equal width horizontal bands of red at the top and blue at the bottom, separated by a central green band which splits into a horizontal Y, the arms of which end at the corners of the hoist side. The Y embraces a black isosceles triangle from which the arms are separated by narrow yellow bands. The red and blue bands are separated from the green band and its arms by narrow white stripes. Let's tune in to Willie's story. Welcome to the Intentional Immigrants podcast. I'm happy that you're able to spend some time with us this evening. Tell us a little about yourself.
My name is Willie Englebretch. I immigrated from South Africa to Canada about 18 years ago. And it was quite the rude awakening, thinking that Canada is a place where people speak English, but they don't. They speak Canadian. And you suddenly had to learn English in a different way. And things you used to call like a boot, nobody knows what a boot is around here, or a spanner. So when you start talking your English and their English, you really get a rude awakening that you are actually a foreigner.
Okay. All right. Where do you reside and how long ago did you migrate?
About 18 years ago, and I live in a place called Fort McMurray in Alberta, Canada, and very far north. We usually mock and say that we are so far north that we look south to the northern lights.
Okay. Okay. Have you had the chance to return home?
Yes, I have on several occasions.
Okay.
Been back.
Okay, so let's go back to why you migrated. Why did you decide to leave? You said you migrated with your wife and two kids. Am I correct?
That's correct. And I think the question you ask is one of the most important questions that I find people never ask themselves is, why am I here? Why am I not where I used to be? Whether it is changing a province or changing a country, people move for different reasons. My main reason for moving was I believed, and I still do, that my children had a better future in Canada and that I needed to bring them here than they had in South Africa. And so my reason for coming was not just an economical one or running away from some perception of life, but it had a plan. And I think once you keep that crystal clear in your mind, I am here because of this reason. I find so many people around me that immigrate, lose that reason, and then they say, but why am I here? And they're unhappy, and they always think about home. South Africa is not my home. Fort McMurray is my home. I was born in South Africa. Now, when people refer to that place as home, it means that they sit on two chairs, and you can't sit on two chairs. You sit on one chair. You either Fort McMurray is my home.
You want to describe for us the process that you went through to migrate?
Look, to get into Canada was almost doing the Olympics in paperwork and in every way you can, medical, um, having enough numbers. And then finally, we got a job offer, we got a job permit, and we came on a job permit.
Okay, okay. That's good.
It wasn't easy.
I figure it wouldn't have been easy. You want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, my late wife was a physiotherapist, and that's one thing that they needed in Canada was physiotherapists, and we got a person hunting a job for us, and finally somebody heard that we were looking for a work, and a lady here in Fort McMurray needed physios. Like, she contacted us, give us a great job offer and a great salary, and we decided that is great. But we were so ignorant that the questions we asked her, like, do you need a 4x4 to come to Fort McMurray, made her laugh. And she had a lot of explaining to do about how deep the snow is and all those things that you can ride with any vehicle if you want to. And yeah, it was quite the fun part of it.
Okay, okay. Your late wife was the one who got the job offer. Am I correct?
That's right.
All right. When the family came to Fort McMurray or came to Canada, how long did it take you to get a job, and how was that settling in process? Seeing that she got a job right away, and you were unemployed. Am I correct?
That's correct. I actually started working before she did.
Really?
Really? I had an open work permit, and my children had study permits. So she had to get registered before she could start working. And I walked in on the Tuesday morning at a place called Diversify and applied for a work as a bus driver. And the Wednesday they employed me.
Oh, okay. Wow, that was the time when it was easy to get a job.
That time when you walk down the street, they they threw books at you to make you stop and come and work for them. Yeah, it was easy to get a job then.
It was easy to get a job. Okay, okay. All right. What place or activity would you recommend to someone visiting your country of birth for the first time? A must see, must have, must experience.
Well, personally, I would, if I had to take somebody there, I would take them to the Kruger National Park on a safari, as they call it here. But something I also would like to take people on is down a gold mine. It's quite an experience, going about 2 miles underground and seeing how they dig out gold in Johannesburg area. Those are two of the things that I think most people would want to see in South Africa.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that would be interesting to see. You said you started as a bus driver.
That's correct, yes.
All right. So how long did you do that job for?
2.5 years. And then I got so tired of the split shift that I was looking for something desperately to move on.
Okay. So what did you get involved in next?
And then I worked for a company that subcontracted for UPS, United Parcel Services. Worked for them for a month, and then I studied for a trade. I decided that I needed a trade, and I started to study for a partsman.
Okay.
Worked for 2 companies, including Napa, which is a motor vehicle and truck parts company. Then I got an opportunity to buy a shop that sells food from different parts of the country. So from like your part of the world, they sell akis and fish and stuff like that, which
Yeah.
grace products that people needed. And at that time, it was the only store in Fort McMurray that sold all these ethnic foods from India, Jamaica, South Africa, Britain, Holland. Yeah, that was I bought the store. The market went belly up due to a lot of reasons beyond my control.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually had to close the store 5 years later.
What year did
Well,
you open the store, and what year did you
it
have to?
ended in 14.
Oh, in 2014. So you
Yeah,
would have bought the store,
in 9.
oh, 2009, roundabout when we had the financial crisis, the global financial crisis.
That's right.
Oh, so I'm sure that that would have impacted your business.
Very
Am I
much so.
correct?
But then when life gives you lemon, you have to make lemonade. So um, we had to make our do, refinance our house, and
Wow.
pay off the debt and start
Over
working
again.
again. So that's what happened.
Oh,
And then finally, my wife got cancer, and we had bought the physio practice, and now I'm running the physio practice and keeping that up.
what product or service do you offer? So that would
Uh,
be physiotherapy services, right?
yeah, and massage.
And massage. Okay. And how does it
Ye-
add value to people's lives?
Well, I think if you've got a bit of back pain, neck pain, or you have just had surgery, physio is really one of the best ways to get the muscles and body going again and have people functional. There was one guy that got a disease that nobody ever could explain, and he became lame overnight. And
Oh,
he is a person in my clinic, and from being totally lame and not having broken his neck or anything, we have got him now to be able to stand on his own feet. He can
that's
actually
great.
do a 3, 4, 5 steps all on his own.
Yeah.
He used to be a plumber and a
Mhm,
builder, and now
mhm.
he gets out of his wheelchair and he can actually play with his children.
That's so beautiful.
And he's got arms that work, and he's getting better every day. You see, he comes to the clinic at least 2 to 3 times a week,
Mm-hmm.
and they stretch his muscles and they teach the brain to work the muscles again by exercising him and by stretching it so that the muscles don't shorten or get too stiff.
That's really good news to hear. I'm sure he's a happy customer.
He is a very, very happy man, and he really realizes what the change it has made in his life.
Very good news to hear. Tell,
Yes.
tell us about an experience that blew you away in terms of the impact of your product or service. So tell us, you just related an experience, just
Yeah.
relate another one for us about the impact of your product or service that you offer.
Well, I find that people who come, one person fell off a ladder and crushed his leg totally,
Whoa.
and he had steel all over his leg, and he's been coming to physio now for, I don't want to lie, I think almost 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the doctors said that he would never walk again.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a functioning person walking. He has to come to physio he gets cramps and stuff like that. And if he doesn't come to physio, his muscles tighten up.
Mm-hmm.
And today he can drive, he can walk. He doesn't walk far. He builds. He's a functioning person because of physio. And if you look at people like that, you realize that the impact that has. That person would have been in a wheelchair,
Mm-hmm.
depressed, no hope for tomorrow,
Yeah.
and now they're functioning.
That is beautiful. Just offering people hope.
Just 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 offering them that touch and the information and the ability to live as normal human beings do is very important.
Yes. Restoring dignity.
Yeah.
Share a difficulty with us and the lessons learned as a result of that experience.
Well, I actually want to just before I answer that question, I want to add something that I think is important for any immigrant.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Uh, Immigrants go to a country with rosy eyes. I mean, you wouldn't want to go to hell. You don't immigrate to hell. you, you immigrate to a place where you think you're going to be better off.
Yes.
But there is no heaven on earth.
Mm-hmm.
There's no perfect place. Even Jamaica is not a perfect place.
Definitely not.
If you immigrate to a place where there's beautiful surf and beautiful seas, you don't have a job there, you know.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of malaria mosquitoes or something there. So there's no heaven on earth.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for heaven on earth, you're looking for the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think as an immigrant, you must realize you're always going to have a mixed bag. There's going to be advantages in immigration, and there's going to be disadvantages.
Yeah.
There's one of the most important things that I find is that you have to look at the place that you are and call it home. The day that you stop calling the place where you come from home, you look at the place where you live in a total different point of view.
Oh, okay. I understand what you're saying.
You see, when you say back home, in South Africa, we had the Wenwees. When we were in Britain, we did this and this and this. And they were never happy in South Africa because they were Wenwees. When we were in this place, we did this and this and this. It is most important for any person that immigrates to a country to say, this is my new home. This is where I live. This is where I'm going to die.
Okay.
Because if you just go to a country for the financial things, you'll never be happy.
Yeah.
Because then you want the perfect home atmosphere where my family is there and there's beautiful beach and sun and everything, but you want the financial situation that is here to be there, and you're not happy either place. So to me, that is the one thing that I found in Fort McMurray more than anything else, that people long for home, but they have to be here for work. So they hate it here, so that they don't live here, and they say, wow, I'm just going to make enough money and then I'm going to go back home. So for all the years that they work to get enough money to go back home, they don't really live.
Yes.
And I think immigrants are most vulnerable in this aspect, because they stop living with the hope that when they retire, they can go and live on the beach.
Yes. So it's all about having the right perspective.
By creating short-term and long-term goals where you are, not returning to where you come from.
Right. Neither mentally, more so mentally than physically.
Yes.
Yeah. Living somewhere else in your mind. A question for you. For the kids, how did they integrate in the school system? Or integrate into Canada here?
Look, my son didn't speak English when he came here, and he was in grade 2.
Okay.
We had to put him back into grade 2 because he's never read an English book in his whole life.
Okay. What language did he speak?
Afrikaans. That was his mother tongue.
Okay.
English is our second language. It's not our first. It's not my first language.
Mm-hmm.
So, my kids had a tough time, but they just had to brunt and bear it and catch up. And they did. And it made better people out of them.
Okay, yes. What age were the kids when they came here?
My son was 7 and my daughter was 9 or 10.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure it must have been hard for them, especially learning a new language, new culture, new food, not having family around.
Well, in their case, the language was difficult, the customs were difficult, and learning. But they, being more of a individualist, we are very individualistic people in South Africa.
Oh, okay. So it's a similar quote unquote culture then.
Yeah. So that was the easy part, because we could live as an island unto ourselves. We spoke Afrikaans at home and they spoke English everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
A thing that really, really, really helped was church. And I have to give kudos to church, because the church was the same thing over in South Africa, and it was same over here. Not what we did, but that we did.
You had that, at least you had a routine or a custom that you're used to.
That's right.
Even though it was even though it was in a different language back home or back in South Africa, when you come here, the same structure was in place.
Yeah. And it was a different environment for the children to make friends and be friends. It was not at school where they struggled a bit, and so they made friends at church, and church became like a free holiday every week for them.
Okay. That's good. I'm happy that at least there was something that was a constant in the sea of
Yeah.
change.
Well, their parents were constants too. So.
Yes, parents are constants too. Yes. So tell us about a difficulty and the lessons learned as a result of that experience.
As an immigrant or as a person?
How about both?
Well, I will start off with my firstborn died in a motor car accident when he was 16 months old.
Oh,
Me
man.
driving, and
I'm
it
sorry.
really threw a lot of turmoil in my life, especially then. And I had to come to the point in my life where I had to let the anger go against God and against everything else, and realize that the thing that's most important in this world is that God cries with us.
Yeah.
That God loves us and loves our children more than we can ever love them. And in their death, they also lost to God. They don't sit in heaven and wait for us. God feels the loss, and a beautiful evidence of that is Lazarus, where Christ knew that he was going to wake him up in a few minutes, and yet he cried. God suffers when we suffer.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people don't realize how much God suffers in this world. I think God is tired of all the evil that's running in this world. I think he's tired of all people suffering.
Yeah.
But he also has to let go, because he cannot negate or take away all the pain of the world. I'm sure he wants to, but he cannot, because then he takes away people's choices.
Yes. Yes.
And to me, the death of my son gave me an extreme example of God suffering. Because I suffered, I know God suffered more, because God has no evil in him.
Yeah.
And we might make it financially, and we might become big politicians and influencer of people, but we can lose eternity for that.
Yes. How about as an immigrant now?
I have had problems with, especially language or humor is one of the greatest things that I have had problems with. In South Africa, we mock people. We make jokes about race and about everything under the sun. It's a way that we say that you okay, I'm okay when you make a joke. And in Canada, that is not accepted, because jokes are always at the expense of somebody. And in Canada, that is the big no-no. So I've landed myself into sometimes having to apologize because people take the joke the wrong way. And it's ruined a friendship or two in my life. And I've learned that you cannot joke about everything, and other people don't find it funny. So yes, in that way, I have really had to change my whole existence because of other people's sensitivities.
Yes. Yes. And it comes back down to the cultural bit.
Yeah.
What's your personal philosophy or mantra?
I like the what's written on the dollar: "In God we trust." When we got here, we came with 6 or 8 suitcases or bags full of stuff and 3,000 Canadian dollars in my back pocket. And that's it. I had to buy a vehicle in Edmonton, drive up 400 kilometers, 450 kilometers, and land here not knowing nobody. And if you don't have trust in something higher than yourself, you're quite alone.
Yes, lonely existence.
And I think that trusting God, and when things go wrong, I mean, we couldn't buy a house, we couldn't even rent a house with the money that we had. But it's, to me, I have proof for myself that God opens doors, works on people's hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And today, 18 years later, I am still here, and I'm very, very happy to be here.
Okay.
And I'm blessed because I have never gone to bed without food.
Mm-hmm.
I've never slept out in the snow,
Mm-hmm.
and I've never had no clothes. I've had it all. God has provided everything that I need. And sometimes I don't know how he does it. I must be honest.
That's not for you to know. If you had it all figured out, then what would be his purpose?
Yeah.
Yes. Share a morning routine or ritual which has helped you well.
uh, waking up, I presume, is a good morning routine. The one thing that I do not do is I do not look at the temperature outside. I do not fit my day in with what the temperature is. I get up and I start walking around because it's a nice warm house. I set up the temperature to the temperature that I like. And I only worry about how cold it is once I have to put my nose out the door.
Okay. Recommend a must-read book. So that's a book that you are reading or have read, which has helped you well.
A book that I found very interesting that's still top of my hit parade is Why Bad Things Happen to Good People, written by a Jewish gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of the best books ever written from that perspective on suffering. And I would put that book as one of the most important book. Living by Colors is a very good book to read if you want to understand why you have conflict with certain people.
Mm-hmm.
It is and how you have friendships with certain people, and if you have friends that are different from you, what must you look for and what you mustn't look for. So those are two books that I would recommend to anybody.
Okay.
Living with Your Colors and Why Does Bad Things Happen to Good People.
Okay, thank you. How can my listeners make contact with you?
I have in email, it is WILLIE,
Mm-hmm.
and the numbers 9 and 9, so it's 99, at telus.net, TELUS.net.
Okay, thank you. What's the name of the physiotherapy practice?
It's Tamarack, which is a pine tree. Tamarack Physiotherapy. Physical Therapy is the company's name.
Yeah. How can listeners who may be in the area and would like a massage or would like some physiotherapy treatment, how can they make contact with the physiotherapy center?
They can actually look it up on the internet under that name or phone me at 780-881-0007.
Okay. All right, Willie. Thank you so very much for sharing with us. Are there any last thoughts for my listeners?
Yeah, I think as immigrants, we must also realize that we bring flavor to a different world. Our food, our accents, our humor, our view of life adds value to those around us. Okay. And sometimes they don't appreciate the value, and sometimes they do.
Yes.
That we mustn't think that people should think the way we do or act the way we do because they are different from us, but that we add flavor, that we make the picture more colorful because we are there.
Thank you very much, Willie. It was my pleasure hanging out with you this evening.
It was my pleasure hanging out with you.
Thank you to the following persons and websites who made this podcast possible. Willie Englebretch of Tamarack Physical Therapy. Xavier Anderson for providing music. Facts about South Africa were found on www.contrafacts.com. The Intentional Immigrants podcast can be found on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, I am your host, Yolanda Jack, reminding you, he who watches the wind will not sow. He who watches the clouds will not reap. Ecclesiastes 11 verse 4. You were born for greatness. Step out into your greatness so that mankind can benefit from you being here. So long, until next time.
It's just that set the bar, but still the best of all. We are intentional.